Congresswoman, with all due respect, I am very much focused on doing what's right for these students. And the memos to which you're referring preceded me, and they may have been they were relevant to conversation about how we proceeded with policy, but administrations changed and policies changed.
Patriots, we've all seen this movie before, right? It's the Ilhan Omar special. 5 minutes of committee fame. Best outrage face on, throwing wild punches at anyone who actually understands how a massive federal department works. Today we're looking at her full-blown interrogation of former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. The mainstream media and the usual echo chambers love to call this a roasting. They want you to think Omar is some hero for students. But look at the body language here. This isn't about finding solutions. This is a theatrical performance engineered for a 30-second Twitter clip. She's bouncing from one half-baked allegation to the next. Grandstanding, trying to bully, acting like she's the only person in the room with a heart. It's patronizing, it's provocative, and honestly, it's exhausting. Pay close attention to one thing: who is actually answering with facts and who is just trying to make a scene. Let's dive in.
Thank you, Chairman. Secretary DeVos, thank you so much for being here and giving us the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I am curious if you're familiar with the Minnesota School of Business and Global University.
I'm not familiar with that specific school.
Okay. Do you know that they were found to be engaged in consumer fraud?
If they were, I'm assuming there are some borrower defense claims pending for them.
Okay. Memo after memo, the Education Department career staff sent you memos that indicate that these students deserve nothing less than full relief. I know that you've said you haven't read these memos yet, but reports have come out, and I would have expected that you would take the time to read them before appearing before us today. I ask for unanimous consent to enter these 3 memos into the record.
Without objection.
I feel like you should be ashamed of the fact that you don't have answers to these memos, that you haven't looked at these memos, that you haven't taken the responsibility that you have as a leader to be prepared to give us a response. And I think the public should be ashamed that they have a Secretary of Education that's not putting the interests of students before the interests of the wealthy that are benefiting from defrauding these students. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond.
Thank you. The gentlelady's time has expired. The Secretary can respond.
Congresswoman, with all due respect, I am very much focused on doing what's right for these students. And the memos to which you're referring preceded me, and they may have been they were relevant to conversation about how we proceeded with policy, but administrations changed and policies change.
They are precise.
Thank you. The gentlelady from Minnesota, Ms. Omar.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Secretary, countless news sources have reported on the conflict of interests that run rampant through your top aides, especially those advising you on higher ed and loan servicing. When responding to questions about these conflicts, you have failed to adequately convince Congress and the American people that these conflicts do not interfere with the billions of taxpayer dollars flowing from education to corporate interests. Today, I would like to better understand your decisions for selecting aides and ensuring that their conflicts do not harm taxpayers. Last May, 4 of my colleagues on this committee sent your general counsel a request for information about conflict of interest surrounding your $2 billion next-gen loan servicing solicitation. Given that this solicitation is given, I would like some information about the team that's leading it. Does Dr. A. Wade Johnson, is he the one that's spearheading this solicitation?
Dr. Johnson is head of the Next Gen Initiative.
All right. According to New York Times investigation, Dr. Johnson was the founder and chief executive of a private student loan company, Reunion Student Loan Financing Corporation, before assuming his official role with the department. Is that correct?
That probably is correct.
Yes, it is.
Let me just interject and say,
I would like to continue.
and I would like to make clear that
We'll
all
give
of
you
the
some time.
individuals,
I
all the
will
individuals.
get to it. Thank you so much. Dr. Johnson was also the executive at the two financial services companies, First Data Corporation and TSYS. Additionally, Dr. Johnson was hired at least one other TSYS veteran, Mr. Patrick Fox. Have any of Dr. Johnson's previous employers bid on elements of next-gen solicitation?
Congresswoman, all of my staff, all of my team at the Department of Education and Federal Student Aid has gone through their ethics process, has taken and takes their ethics obligations very seriously. We don't have conflicts, and we will not be conflicted. We have continued to have a robust screening process, and can stand and be, very resolute about that.
So given that there is about $2 billion per year in taxpayer dollars flowing through this program, will you commit to releasing communication between the procurement team and any of Dr. Johnson's former employees?
So all of the procurement is walled off from the rest.
That would just be yes or no. Would you be committed to releasing any communication between Dr. Johnson and his employees?
Not to releasing internal communication, but the procurement team is walled off from the rest of the team, and the procurement process is very definitely prescribed as to how it has to happen.
That has not clearly answered my question. The federal acquisition regulations have a section on conflict of interest. It states, the general rule is to avoid strictly any conflict of interest or even the appearance of conflict of interest in government contract relations. While many federal laws and regulations place restrictions on actions of government personnel, their official conduct must, in addition, be such that they would not have no reluctance to make a full public disclosure of their actions. You seem to have reluctance to make a full public disclosure of the actions of the head of the department's largest single procurement team, despite there being obvious appearance of conflict of interest. How is your denial to release communication in line with extremely high conflict of interest standards that's required by federal law?
The individual you have referred to is not part of the acquisition or procurement team.
Okay. But we need the communication that is happening between the procurement team
As I told
and
you,
the employers of Dr.
that
Johnson.
process is walled off from any other process.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. I hope you caught the pattern there. Let's break down what actually happened versus the narrative Omar is trying to sell. First off, Omar brings up these specific Minnesota schools. She acts shocked, that the Secretary of Education for the entire United States doesn't have every single local court case from years ago memorized down to the granular detail. Are you kidding me? DeVos manages a department with a multi-billion-dollar budget and thousands of employees. She has staff for that. It's a complete gotcha question that means nothing in the grand scheme of federal policy. Then Omar pulls the classic leftist move, the corporate boogeyman hypothetical. If these were corporations, you'd be up in arms. It's such a lazy, tired argument. She's trying to frame Betsy DeVos, someone who spent decades fighting for school choice and student empowerment, as someone who hates students. Total smear. And did you see that second clip? Omar pivots to Dr. Wayne Johnson, lists off his resume like it's a crime to have private sector experience. This is the fundamental divide, folks. Omar thinks if you've ever worked for a successful company, you're conflicted. DeVos wants people who actually understand how loan servicing works. Omar demands internal communications, trying to hint at some massive conspiracy. DeVos shuts her down with the simple truth. The procurement team is walled off. It's a standard legal procedure to prevent exactly what Omar is accusing them of. But Omar doesn't care about the walled-off process. She cares about the appearance of conflict, because appearances make for better headlines. Then we get to the memos and the shame. Omar is obsessing over internal memos from career staff. Since when did unelected career bureaucrats become the final word on American policy? DeVos hit the nail on the head. Administrations change, and policies change. That is literally how democracy works. If we wanted career staff to run everything, why even have elections? DeVos was incredibly professional here. She stayed calm, while Omar was practically vibrating with manufactured indignation. Omar says she's ashamed. I think the public should be ashamed that we have representatives who spend their committee time trying to score viral sick burns, instead of actually discussing the complexities of the student loan system. Betsy DeVos was there to talk about the law and the reality of the department. Omar was there to get a clip for her base. It's crystal clear who the adult in the room was. What do you guys think? Is Omar just playing for the cameras? Or am I being too harsh? I don't think I am. Let me know in the comments below. If you're tired of this political theater, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more real talk on DC. No spin, no fluff, just the truth. Stay based, stay loud. America first. Catch you in the next one.